Thank you to all the cameramen, everybody who's been working on this. We really appreciate all your efforts.
Who is?
Thank you very, very much. Because I know afterwards we'll be kind of, you know.
What does this tell you about John Kerry?
See, I like that scene a lot, and I may be reading too many tea leaves, but I'm really interested in three things in that scene. The body language between him and Shrum, I think, is fascinating. I mean, Shrum is clearly being a conciliary, and do you want your mic on? And the senator's kind of looking past him, which I find interesting. When he comes around and he does that great look up, and you get this, it's like he's talking to himself. I've been here before, and he has been there before. And then the last thing in that scene that always strikes me every time I see it is he thanks the crew. The crew's trying to be nonpartisan. There's obviously some Republicans in the room and some Democrats in the room. And he's trying to turn it into, like, there's that odd pause where he says, thank you very much. And the room waits a beat. Like, and then everyone kind of claps. And, I just think, everything was a political opportunity. What he really wanted was a rousing, kind of round of applause from the crew. But that's not a reasonable thing to ask in a nonpartisan situation.
Bob Shrum has been part of political campaigns going back to George McGovern. Who is he, and why did he have such a big role in the Kerry campaign?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy. I mean, remember, I should be clear about my role in this. I'm a filmmaker, not a political operative, and not a political filmmaker historically. So all I know about Bob Shrum is what I saw in my film and what I was able to record, which is very little. I will tell you that he agreed to do an interview in the film afterwards, and we scheduled and canceled it, and he canceled it 4 times. And I found myself by the 3rd time feeling a little bit like Lucy in those Peanuts cartoons where the ball gets snatched away, and thought, does he just not want to say no? Because if he'd said no, I would have stopped calling him. I think his voice in this film is missing. I think it's a shame, and I'd love to hear what he says about the campaign.
And if you watch the film in its entirety, there are some interviews that you weave in that were done when?
That were done in July and August of this year.
This next exchange is Stephanie Cutter. Who is she?
Stephanie Cutter was the communications director. She comes from Ted Kennedy and has been a Washington communications person, press person for a very long time. When Mike McCurry comes on board in September, late August, there's a shift, but it isn't clear what the shift is. Mike is clearly the wise man. He's done this many, many times before. But Stephanie, there were people who thought she was going to leave. And the truth is she doesn't leave. She ends up very much involved in day-to-day press management.
And the senator is doing a series of satellite interviews in a locker room where?
I don't remember the exact location. It's some high school locker room, some, not very, warm and fuzzy. It's not a studio like this. It's not comfortable. It smells bad. And he's doing local television news talk-back interviews. And I think the scene speaks for itself.
Senator John Kerry from the movie Inside the Bubble.
Katie, I'm sorry, the senator can come in now.
Okay, great.
Where are we going?
Yes.
The unisex room. How are you?
Good, how are you?
How you all doing?
Good.
There you go.
No, you're fine.
Can somebody clip it on the back there, please? Are we going live?
They're all taped. They're all taped.
Give me a countdown here.
Okay, they said it 30 seconds about 15 seconds ago.
Fresh start.
They're having a problem in Cincinnati right now,
They are.
holding for them.
Having a wonderful conversation with myself here. So what do you think about this election? Well, I think it's great. We're going to... Any surprises that you found, Lovely? No, but the polls show this.
But you don't believe in polls.
Well, I don't believe in polls. But what do you think about this? Do you like President Bush? I don't know President Bush.
Senator, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Greg. Let's go.
Ora parlare con tutti gli italiani in America.
Again?
I didn't say any of that. It's,
It's hot in here.
I know it is.
Bless, it's so hot in here. I'm sweating again after changing it.
A locker room.
I don't know who exercised in this locker room last, but they left a lot of themselves here. Hello? The truth is that in Florida, 1.3 million people, 1.2 million, don't have any health insurance. Did we lose them? Because I don't have anything.
He doesn't hear anything now.
I heard a click and nobody's there.
They lost power, I believe, at the truck.
Did you get my first answer?
should just go. Just cancel. Yeah.
We're going right?
We're gonna do Des Moines and then cancel the last two, because we gotta go.
Coming up soon?
Hello? Yes, sir. Hi, Jeff. Doing great, thank you.
Yeah, I think he looks terrific in that scene, and I think it's a reminder. I mean, imagine how many of those he did on the campaign trail. Did you think he did 300 or 3,000, answering the same question over and over again? Hey, Jeff, good to talk to you. This is politics in America. This is not about John Kerry. To me, this is about the process, and I think he handles it with grace and style.
What does it tell those who are not part of the process about how it all works?
In order to get seen in America today, there's so many media outlets and so many newspapers and so many markets. You can't simply do national news coverage. They also made a strategic decision, by the way, to go intensely local and to do lots of local talkback stuff and lots of local newspaper interviews so that they could, in fact, someone at one point in the campaign said, it's a little like he's running for governor in each of the swing states, which I actually thought was really an interesting perspective. So it is a physically demanding and I think in some ways humiliating process. And I'm not sure that the best man wins in that process, but I think he handles that scene very, very well.
One of the last events on the campaign trail, an event that we covered live here on C-SPAN, a rally in Cleveland, Ohio with Bruce Springsteen.
So enormous, so staggering in the number of people and the energy and the exhaustion. This was at a point at which the campaign now really believed that they were going to bring it home and that they were going to win. And I think you'll see in the tape, the energy of the staff. They're physically exhausted. They're passionate. And Springsteen does this great soliloquy in which he says, here's why we're going to win. And there's also a moment in the scene we're about to see between Kerry and John Kerry and Teresa that's actually, I think, for political junkies, interesting to watch as well.
And here is that excerpt from the movie.
You seen the crowd?
I have seen the crowd. It's a big crowd. It's a nice way to end the campaign.
He's up there right now.
Mark's hiding over here.
I hadn't gotten involved. The train, the things I sang about, and the people I was writing about for the past 30 years. So I was glad to be out here. I didn't think I'd be out here this time, but I've enjoyed it, and I hope I've helped a little bit.
It's a gift, because I was worried it was going to be cold and rainy.
Commemorate that by sending John Kerry to the President of the United States.
And have Bruce here, the boss singing. That's great.
And then from Cleveland, the Kerry campaign went to Toledo, Ohio. Here's an exchange with former White House press secretary and traveling Kerry campaign staffer, Mike McCurry.
You know why I think Ohio is going to go just great? Because when I came here after Wisconsin, you guys gave me Lucky Buckeye, and here's my Lucky Buckeye.
What? No fucking way, man. You kidding me? Sleep? Sleep is for the faint-hearted.
I love McCurry in this movie. There's a moment on the bus where he does an interview about 2 weeks before the election, and he says, we're gaining in the polls, we're getting momentum. He says, John Kerry just needs to find a way to connect with Americans, and if he can do that, we'll win this thing. And what we witnessed in those last 2 weeks is, I don't think people quite realize, if you're becoming a rock star, where everyone wants to touch you and everyone wants to hug you and they want pieces, they want you to sign things, it takes, I think, some getting used to. And he began in the very end. There's a scene in the film where a little boy comes up to him and congratulates him and gives him a high five, and you feel him going, I can do this. And it was maybe just 10 days later than it needed to be.
Some of the language can get a little bawdy.
You're talking about Jim Loftus, who doesn't have a big, we didn't see a lot of him in this interview, but I mean, Jim is a serial cursor, and he's quite creative about his ability to use certain words. You know, we were with people who were working 19-hour days without a lot of sleep, and this is how they keep themselves entertained. And no, it's not a PG movie, certainly not.
You begin the movie on election night and end the movie on election day, November 2004.
It's election day. We're heading to the Boston State House here so the senator can vote. I wonder who he's going to vote for. I think we talked about this morning, still up in the air.
Is the moment what you expected?
I don't think anybody can anticipate or expect what it's like to see your name on the ballot for president. Pretty special.
What did you learn in doing this film?
I learned a lot. You know, I mean, the reaction to the film is maybe the thing that I've been most surprised by. Conservative media outlets have jumped all over it. They think it has some, you know, silver bullet for John Kerry, which I don't think it does. Mainstream media has been nervous about it. To me, the agenda was really simple. We had an election. It was really interesting. We got extraordinary access. I think viewers will find it really interesting. I don't think it's only for political junkies. I think the characters are very human. And I think that what no one's willing to say out loud, but I'll say it here first, is I think people who see this movie will decide they want to go and work in politics. I think it makes people say, you know what, I could be one of those guys. I could go out there and find a candidate on either side or on any side, but it's a very intoxicating existence for the right kind of people.
And what did you learn about being inside the bubble?
Well, you know, my basic issue 04 is that I think that Kerry was positioned as not having a clear set of feelings about certain key issues, and I think that comes out in the film, that you see that, you know, there's a struggle, and we talk about it in the film, between, you know, this whole we talk a lot about the flip-flop issue, and, you know, warrior president versus, you know, peacemaker president. And I think that candidates need to have clearer defined ideas in order to cut through the media clutter.
What's your background, and will you do this again in 2008?
Well, I'd be invited back in 2008. I changed your question for you. My background is that I make documentary films here in New York. Before this, I did a film about 9/11 called 7 Days in September that was well received. I will go where there are big stories and interesting ones, and if I decide that 08 is going to be an interesting story, I might very well dip my toe in it again. Although I don't think I'm a political filmmaker professionally. I don't think that's my lot in life.
If you want to get more information, you can log on to the website InsideTheBubble.net. Steve Rosenbaum, thank you.
Thanks very much.